What are you vaping on today? I'm vaping on all sorts of stuff. I knocked some stuff over. I wrapped and wicked my nautilus and trying to vape on that on my little mini, what is it, Z-Max? I always forget what the heck that thing is. So I wrapped it up hoping to get about 1.3 out of it. And if I put it on my meter, I got 1.31. Not bad. It's like 10 wraps, 10, 11 wraps of 28 gauge. And I said that should be perfect because the mini doesn't fire anything below 1.2. However, then when you put it on the mini, it says 1.2, right? Well, if I vape on it, and I have it turned down to like 10 watts right now. Doesn't want to do it right. Oh, there it did it. It says 1.1. So it stops firing. Rah. Now it's back up 1.2. Nope, down to 1.1. It's a finicky little thing. It's stuck on the 1.1 now. Oh, there it goes. Nothing again. Back to 1.1. So, that didn't quite work out for the Z-Max. If I put it back on my meter, I hate when it changes like that. And I dislike that the mini is slightly off. But now she's reading 1.24. So the heck with it. We put it back on the mech mod. And on the mech mod, of course, it hits a lot harder because there's no settings. And I only had it at 10 watts. It's fairly satisfying. I just wanted to mess with that. So you saw how that vaped. Not a stock coil. Stock coil blows out more cloud than that. We go, how about the kayfun? Now, I'm not sure at the moment, but usually there's some kind of parallel coil sitting in there. That's at 0.82. Again, can't fire that on my Z-Max Mini. So, we put that on the mech mod. Much more satisfying vape for me. One thing that I can put on my Mini is my Protank version 1. Has a stock coil in it. Looks like that. Reading out at 1.5. That's a stock coil at 10 watts. Doing way better than my rebuild in my Nautilus. I did get to play with a couple of Atlantises. A couple of buddies bought Atlantises. Nice airflow. Not bad flavor. Big clouds. And that's what I like, though. Big clouds. I don't really care too much about the flavor. Put a little bit of flavor in something. Nice little device. Pretty good sized device. But I think that'll be my driving device today. You have the old iclear 30B out. Got it on my plasticized MVP version 1. This is not rebuilt. It's re-wicked with cotton. And at the moment, it's reading 1.28. Which means if I put it on my Mini, it'll fire like once, and that's it. So, that's living on my plasticized MVP when it wants to fire. Doesn't always fire when I have the big ring on there. Because the center post doesn't jut down. How does it do on a mech? Let's see. You want to see it on a mech? Unregulated, fully charged battery as of 10 minutes ago. And it doesn't hit my center pin. Hold on. We'll adjust it up. This is probably the shortest center pin device I have is the iclear 30B. Again, a satisfying vape. I don't know if I can unscrew it. I have these devices, these tanks and drippers and whatnot, because you got to find something you like. Now, depending on which way you wick it, which way you coil it, and all that, is how they're going to work. Except in the case of, well, the iclear 30B has heads that you go down to the store and buy and screw into it. Same with the Nautilus. Same with the Atlantis. The only thing I don't really care for on the Atlantis is it's at 0.5 all the time. I heard they're supposed to come out with new heads that may range up 1.2 or so, and that would be more interesting. Put it on a regulated device. Fogger puts out. The terrible design for a dual coil setup, the way you have to wrap your coil leads around the screw heads and get it all situated, but it does what it's supposed to do. I'm mostly VG in here, and I'm not having any wicking issues. Again, another satisfying device. And then you can compare it to things of this nature. You just saw the tanks I have. That is all the tanks I have, I believe. And they all put out. I have one more tank, but it's of a different design, and that's the RSST, which is a Genesis style atomizer. And I'll show you that in a second. This is the Mark 10. Wispy. The only thing I find this good for is carrying around in the garage. And it's really not that satisfying, but it's just the whole act of doing more than anything else. Very wispy. Even wispier than my recoiled Nautilus. Wonder if it fires up on my MVP here. Even this recoiled terribly by me. Beats out that Mark 10. Don't have any stock heads. But I do have like the stock dual coil crisscross ones up there. They're used. They're not done yet, but they're not as great as the vertical coils, in my humble opinion. Now, the RSST is a little bit different in the fact that it has a stainless steel mesh coil, or wick coil, going up in there. And if I catch the light just right, you might be able to see. It's a twisted build I have in there. And not usually a cloud chasing device. We'll throw it on the mech here. Then we'll throw it on the ohm meter. But, that's what it's supposed to do. Different things vape differently. What would work for you? How high would you like your nicotine level? How low would you like your nicotine level? You need the nicotine? That's at 0.51. I like my builds a little lower to produce a little bit more vapor because the devices I use are, well, what is regulated goes, can't even get this thing to stand up. There we go. Can't let that thing sit on its side very long or it will drain the juice out. But, you know, high nicotine levels, low nicotine levels, what do you like? You got, I got low to zero. Low to zero is where I'm at. And, you know, 5 and below. You move up to your drippers. What's in my dripper? That's a good question. What is in my dripper? Parallel coils. I hate ripping this thing apart. Parallel 24 gauge. Yeah, I took out that twisted build I had the other day and put that in. Line this goopy thing back up. I don't care to use the CLT. Has those little holes on the side that go through the negative posts. I don't really care to use those. line this up. That's the only pain in the butt for me on these gripping devices, is lining it up. Yeah. This has become my all-day vape, every day. Parallel coils of 24 gauge seem to work the best for me. However, it does go through the juice like a monkey on steroids. Use a different analogy than everybody else's. Freight train strapped to a school bus going down the river. Whatever. That is right there how I like to vape. I don't consider it really cloud chasing. Is it cloud chasing? I don't know. I like the thick vapor. The thick inhale and exhale. I like that. Other people, it's just about the nicotine level and getting to, when you're getting off the smokes, you need something that's going to satisfy you and get what you want to get out of, like, a cigarette. I don't think this is going to come off very easily. I have my hybrid adapter on here, which means I gotta fiddle for a second in getting that off. But for a someone getting off the smokes, you kind of want something. Yeah, that's kind of low for me. That's gonna feed that need, right? So it just depends on what your need is. Now, my one buddy that picked up the Atlantis, he's liking that. He's had it all weekend. I'll see him tonight. We'll see how he's doing with it. But he's into that. He likes the thick clouds. I like the thick clouds. It's not really about cloud chasing, really. Is it satisfying? That's pretty satisfying. And there's virtually zero nicotine in here. And I can do this all day. And I don't get tired of it. It doesn't really leave me wanting more. Just vape when I want to vape. This kind of gets tiring to me. So, it's a thinner juice in here because it's got to be able to wick properly. I can feel it. There's more PG in here. Gives you more strength to your hit. And I can't do that all day. There's just something about that. I can't do that all day. That's fine for driving around or this and that. But I can't do it all day. Now, on the old Helios here, she's at 0.22. And she's got a nasty, twisted, whatever the heck I got going on in there. All juiced up. I make sure that lines up. But that's satisfying to me too. Oops, I moved my airflow. got a hot button. Why'd I get a hot button? I think my one coil is too close. We'll do a little surgery real quick here. Little surgery. Do a little surgery. It's a little wispier than I remember it. I haven't vaped this for a few days. That's a little strong to me. That must have about 5 milligrams in it. This is pretty much has 0. And I can hit this all day like that. And then you got people going down and getting that. I don't see the sense. But it looks and feels like a real cigarette. Does it? It's close. I mean, this thing's pretty light. There's really nothing to it. Does what it's supposed to do. Battery life is terrible. Does what it's supposed to do, I guess. It curbs that need for a cigarette, I guess. Not as well as something like that. I just thought we'd take another look through the devices and go, well, how about this? How about that? How about this? And nothing new. I'm interested in the Kanger sub-tank. Just because it's more like this, with a rebuildable deck in it, or you can go buy the heads for it. And unless it was released this morning, without my knowledge, it's not out yet. And I think it's supposed to run around $55. $55. That sounds a little much for me. But, I don't know. I heard the Atlantis got cloned already and is selling for like $18. Nice, huh? Yeah. You can pick up all sorts of different devices now that are way better than this. Just think about it. You go down to the store and you pick this up, you get a charger with it so you can reuse the battery. But if you don't, let's say here, try to find a pin. You can refill these a few times. That's too big. Go to one smaller. You just take something in there and pop that cap off. And now it's wide open. There's a rubber grommet that's on the inside of that you can pull out. It's for spit back. I don't have any spit back issues, and I'm not using that rubber grommet. But you can drip some of your own juice in there, as long as you don't burn out the head, and just replace the end again. And keep going with it. Otherwise, you have to go down there and pay your, whatever it is, $10 for a 3-pack, something like that. So you've already bought this at, what does it cost? 17? 13? Something like that. And go get a 3-pack of heads for $10. That's $23, $27 in there, in that range, right? Well, the only problem is this battery's only going to last you maybe a couple of hours. And then while it's recharging for a couple of hours, you have nothing to vape on. Unless you went and bought 2. So now double your price. And you're close to around $50 if you double the whole thing, right? If you've got 6 heads and 2 batteries. But now if you're not refilling it, you have to go down and buy new heads all the time. And depending on how often you have to refill it or replace the heads on it, there's more money and more money and more money. And it just keeps going. Just like it was when you were smoking and you had to go down to the gas station, fill your tank up with gas, go into the store, give me a pack of this, give me a pack of that, give me a carton of this, whatever. What are they now? Like $8? $8 a pack? Okay. So you got this thing that with 2 batteries and say 6 heads, somewhere around $50. And will that last you a week? I don't think that'll last you a week if you're not refilling them. I think those 3 heads, those first 3 heads, will probably last you the day. So if you go through 3 of these heads every day, and that's $10, we'll say it's $10. That's like buying a pack of cigarettes almost, right? $2 more to keep going with this. Sure, it's cleaner. There's no smoke. It's vapor. But why? Why? Now, they do have expensive devices. I think the Z-Max and Z-Max Mini go for like $50, $60. I know that's what my local shop carries for the price. Goes up to 15 watts. Then you have to buy a battery. Well, if it's a mini, then it takes that little tiny 18350 battery, which only lasts a couple hours. I put the extension tube on here, so it's basically a regular Z-Max now. Goes up to 15 watts. This will last me all day. Okay? And a Protank, you can find Protank still for like $10. And a bottle of juice. So a bottle of juice like that will cost you about $20 at a vape shop. So now, you're at, say if this was 50, okay, and this is 10, you're at 60. Bottle of juice, you're at 80, right? Battery, another 10. So let's just, for the heck of it, call it $100. There's $100 right there, okay, with your charger. Okay, that's $100. You spent $100 on this. This is going to last you probably 2 weeks. I'm going to say 2 weeks on this. Battery's going to last you probably all day, depending on your vaping needs. If you want to max out the power and everything else, it's going to be a little bit less. But on average, it's going to last you all day for the battery. So when you go back to bed at night, in the morning, whatever, I work night shift, so it's in the morning. Put the battery back on the charger when you go to bed, just like you do your phone, right? You get back up. It's ready to go again. Lasts you the whole day. Lasts you the whole night. Whatever. No worries. And so every 2 weeks after that, that's all you're buying. Or you're buying the little head once you finally burn it out, which usually lasts a couple weeks. And those are cheap, and Protanks and nautiluses and everything else. Those are cheap. So what is that? 10 days? Stretch it out. 10 days that the same price point of that is going to be for that. And we'll say that's going to go 14 days. However, after your initial purchase of these items, now this is pretty much all you have to buy. And if that lasts you 2 weeks, now you're down to $20 at a vape shop. $20 is usually about right for a 30 ml bottle. It's usually a little cheaper than that, but we'll say $20 for argument's sake. Everybody likes to argue. I like to argue. Let's argue. Now you're down, after your initial buy of $20 every week. Or every 2 weeks, sorry. Every 2 weeks. However, if you start to vape more and you get into things of this nature, because you notice all of a sudden you have money laying around that you didn't have before when you were smoking, or when you were going down and buying the cig-alike, and you've been vaping on your personalized vaping device, you can, if you want, upgrade into something more to your liking, more satisfying, maybe something you want to fiddle with a little bit. And that's where I am. I'm interested in the sub-tank. I don't know how interested I am at $50, $55. But I'm interested. I have enough juice right now to last a few months. Even vaping with this every day. And if I were to just vape with this, but the juice I bought isn't made for this. This is nice runny stuff. I don't know, man. Why? I understand this because it looks and feels like what you're used to. Once you get over the fact that this isn't going to do it for you, which is 90% of the people that have switched to vaping, this isn't going to do it for you. There are the few exceptions out there. Where that's enough for them. It does put out about as much vapor as a cigarette puts out smoke. But that would have to be a lot higher concentration of nicotine for that wispy little vapor, in my opinion, to be satisfying for me. It's not satisfying to me. This is like a toy to me now, compared to other things going on in the world here. But I don't know. I just wanted to shoot a video. I had nothing to shoot a video on. Interested in the Kanger sub tank. So when that comes out, I'll throw up the old Grim Army vape budget hands and see what's going on there. But to me, it seems, you know, a lot like the name eludes me. You know what it is. It's a kayfun. Mind blank. Seems to have a little bit better airflow. I did watch, there's a couple of videos out on the sub tank right now. Matt did one. I believe Phil did one. Matt did one comparing the new sub tank and the Aspire Atlantis side by side, checking it all out. And they're close. I would say that the Atlantis looks like it outclouds the sub tank. However, you can build the sub tank however you like. And the Atlantis is a little bit more difficult because it has heads like the Nautilus, about 3 times the size of the Nautilus, but like the Nautilus. Of course, you can't see in there, my camera, but that's a little finicky to build. Where when you have a build deck to actually work with, like a kayfun, it's a lot easier to work with, man. And yeah, it's I'm thinking about it, and I'm leaning that way. So I don't know. I thought it'd be nice to look at a few devices. You can see how they perform. Not real big on my build. You know, I went on the old site there to see how many wraps around a 2mm screwdriver I was going to need to recoil that stupid thing. The juice I have in here, side note on this, is super cloudy. I don't know if that pulls up on the camera or not. That is a clear glass tank. And look, you can barely see that bell in there. It is super cloudy. It's like Nestea or something, as far as the look of it. What it is, though, and this is the damn closest thing to having a cigarette I've had in a year, is this. Vermilion River E-Juice. Okay? And this is the classic blend tobacco. Alright? Classic blend. I popped the cap off when I got this. And I smelled it like I'm smelling it now. And it doesn't really smell like anything. It smells like a plastic bottle. I'm like, well, that's not going to be very good. I still bought it. You know, I'm not big on, as long as there's some flavor there, whatever. But I'll be damned when you put it on a coil and heat it up. If it isn't real close to a cigarette without the burn flavor. That's the best way I can describe that. Without the burn flavor, you know, without the actual smoke. It's strange, but I would recommend this to anybody who's just getting off the icky stickies and wants something close to what they're smoking. You know what you're smoking? But it is the damnedest thing. That is the closest thing that I've had to that since I started vaping and by using 4 years ago now. And that was when the Ego kits were popular, and you had cartomizer tanks. I do have cartomizer tanks. Do they work? Who the hell knows? Do they work? Do they even have juice in them? I don't even know if I trust to vape that. Do I trust to vape that? And these came 1.5, 2 ohm, 2.5 ohm, all sorts of high stuff. 1.66. I'm not even going to put a drip tip on this. This is going to be disgusting probably. It's got some grayish black, way past its due date juice, I'll bet you, in here. And it's going to look really funny on my MVP. That brings back the day. This is at 4.2 volts though, so, or 4? No, it's at 4.2. Still better than that Mark 10. Isn't that crazy? That's some nasty juice in there. Probably get Ebola just vaping that old stuff. For anyone interested, that push button I got going on there that I have sticking way too far out my device, that is actually a center post from my other Helios that broke. So I just ground the rest of the tip off, and it's pushing the little button that's on that little chipset for the MVP. That's how I got that hooked up. I don't even know where my light is. Light's on top. You're not going to see it then. Light. Carto tank. Carto tanks work too, man. I do have like the Aspire Vivi Nova sitting up there. I don't even know if they sell that anymore. My local shop gives away Vivi Novas with 60 ml juice purchases lately. And I've just been handing those out. Not for me. I have one up here. It's not one that I got. Well, it is one that I got from the shop, but it's one that I got from the shop a long time ago. And it may be re-wicked to my liking. Maybe not to my liking. And this thing jumps around so bad. But that thing says 3.13. Oh, do you expect it to work well when it says 3.13? I sure the hell don't. What is that vape like? I have no idea. You know how long it's been since I touched this thing? Probably since I did a little looky here video before. Doesn't even want to screw onto my device properly. I don't know what's in there, but it's got a ton of flavor. It's really runny. Not a good flavor, but it has a ton of flavor. Yeah, and it's just jumping around. It's just jumping around. Look at that. But I mean, so who knows? Who knows? There are things out there that work. I don't usually recommend like a Vivi Nova. Just, it's got a bad design. The coils are up at the very top of the tank, and the wicks run down into the juice. Well, in order to keep your wicks wet, you're constantly tipping it and whatnot, and it's just bad vibes, man. Bad vibes with the Vivi Nova. I don't have any juice, I don't think. Well, There's a driblet of juice. But this looks exactly like the Vivi Nova. And this is the Aspire Nova. And it looks just like it. Tank and everything, you can swap out on them. But, I don't know what the hell's in here either. It's got juice all over it. Minty. It's not the best either. It does work. It works better than the Vivi Nova. But I haven't seen these around in a long time. So I don't know if they still make them or not. You can still get carto tanks. Anything else up here? Anything at all? No? Not really? No? Not seeing anything? So we're good. Now the dog's gonna bark. What are you barking at? I don't know. Must be a cat out there or something. Anyhow, I just thought we'd do a looky-loo. I'm gonna go. Dog's barking. Come on. Y'all have fun now. Because I know I will. Side note, I did take the bike out yesterday. That was fun. Been a while since I've been out in December on the bike.